You know, I'm taking this thumbnail photo now, and I only just realized, like, how autumnal the color scheme is for this thumbnail. Like, oh, this was totally not intentional, I assure you, but like, wow, this is amazing. Hey besties, it's Joel, and today I'm going to be going over some of the books that I plan to read this autumn. I hope you're all doing very well and that you're taking care of yourselves. Again, if you've yet to take a drink of water, please do so, because staying hydrated is one of the main things that we should be doing. And if you've yet to check out my Instagram nor my Twitter, I would highly recommend you go check those out, because I post some extra bookish content that you're not gonna see here. I have around about 12 books that I want to discuss today, and I think each and every one of them are just so awesome. We have a mix of fantasy, sci-fi, non-fiction, like middle grade, adult, young adult. Like, I'm just really excited for that, and I think everything is just gonna be super cool and super awesome. I actually don't know what order I'm gonna talk about these books in, but I think we'll figure it out as we go along. I'm basically winging this thing today. But before we get into that, I do have a very quick message from today's sponsor, so I'm just gonna throw on over to Sponsor Joel in order to tell you all about that. Hey besties, I'd like to thank Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Book of the Month is the super popular book service for readers located within the US, with their main objective to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover books that they'll love. Each month, Book of the Month curates a selection of new and early release titles for readers to choose from, so that you can spend a little less time researching and a little more time devouring invigorating new worlds. Plus, Book of the Month is risk-free, so you can skip any month, anytime, and you won't be charged. I was fortunate enough to receive all 5 of Book of the Month September picks, and included were The Love Hypothesis, following a rising scientist who must decide if she's ready to experiment with love after a fake relationship generates some real sparks. The Sweetest Remedy, following a young woman on a soul-searching journey to reconnect with her Nigerian family and find herself after an unexpected loss. The Neighbor's Secret, following a suburban book club discovering that life can be a bit more disturbing than fiction when a vandal disrupts life on the cul-de-sac. Rock, Paper, Scissors, following a couple who will learn if their marriage can bear the weight of their secrets after a remote anniversary getaway turns eerie. And finally, Beautiful Country, a moving memoir filtered through the eyes of a child about a Chinese family struggling in the shadow of an American dream. I think the one that I'm most excited to read is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, purely because I'm a sucker for fake relationships within the romance genre, and I definitely think the sciencey background is going to like add so much to that. I'm really excited for it. If that sounds great to you and you have a US-based shipping address, then you can use the link in my description and use code FATES in order to get your first Book of the Month box for only $9.99. And again, a massive thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video, and now we can get back to my autumnal TBR. Okay. So, 12 books. I'm gonna go for one of the ones, first of all, that I picked up a few days ago. I saw it in Waterstones, and immediately I was like, the title, I need to get it, because, it is called How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. And I don't know much about what this book is about, but I will leave all the Goodreads links for all of like the book's descriptions in the description down below for you. But one, the cover design is stunning. The jacket illustration was done by Anna Isabella Schmidt, and the jacket design was done by Caroline Young. It's just gorgeous. I really love the way this is just so minimalistic, but also gives a big impression. The shape of the book as well is something different. Like, you don't really get books in this kind of shape. I know I'm weird. Elle called it hilarious and dark. On the back says, kill my family, make a claim on their fortune, get away with the above, and then adopt a dog. What a plan. What a plan. We love it, and we love a woman on a mission, and I just think it looks super cool and super awesome. I'm really obsessed with it. I cannot wait to read it. Someone replied to my Instagram story saying that it literally just grips you, and like, it's just a wild ride, and so I'm very excited to be reading How to Kill Your Family this autumn. It looks amazing, and literally in pink they say you can't choose your family, but you can kill them. And so I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be really cool and really awesome. The second book that I then plan to read is a non-fiction pick, and this one was very recently released, and that is The Transgender Issue, An Argument for Justice by Sean Fay. And this one I picked up because I follow Sean Fay on Instagram, and I saw like just talking about the issues facing transgender people within the UK, and we've seen it a lot in the book community, a lot of transphobia within the book community, particularly gearing towards like UK publishing and TERFs. Like, there is a heavy amount amount of transphobia coming from UK publishing, and it's something that I want to remain educated on as someone who advocates for the equality of people, and just knowing how I can be a better ally towards transgender people. I'm just super excited that this book is out, and just hopefully being able to like raise awareness of the issues facing transgender people within the UK. And plus, it's blurred by Judith Butler. This is a monumental work and utterly convincing, crystal clear in its understanding of how the world should be. I love Judith Butler. Like, Judith Butler's awesome. I definitely think this book would be good for queer studies as well, so I'm really excited to like fully gain some insight, both as an academician, a social ally, and just someone who wants to like gain more insight into another person's perspective and just be more aware of the issues in my own home. I would highly recommend that you go pick it up as well. The next book that I'm then picking up is an ARC that was sent to me by the author, and I'm really excited for this one because I saw the cover like a few months back and I was literally like, I need this book. The author reached out to me and was like, yeah, I can send you this ARC, and I was like, yes. And so we have Cameron Battle and the Hidden Kingdoms by Jamar J. Perry, and this is releasing on February 1st, 2022. And I'm reading this now because yes, this is a middle grade book. Yes, this is like a black boy in the center of a middle grade fantasy. And I'm just really excited for it. It's so cool. A fabled kingdom cut off from the world, a magical book passed down for generations, a boy finding his true path to greatness. This book just sounds amazing. I'm really excited for it. I think that like the cover illustration is just beautiful. I am just really excited for it because it just looks amazing. It sounds amazing. There's so many like cool blurbs, and I feel like this is going to be a middle grade series that is going to open up the hearts of a lot of young black children looking for someone to look up to and someone to like empathize with. And I think Cameron Battle is definitely going to do that. And I'm really excited to read it and just give my whole thoughts once I finally do. The next book that I'm then going to read is the YA fantasy, but this one's more so a sequel, and this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and that is Redemptor by Joel Nifwako, the sequel to Raybearer, which was one of my favorite YA fantasies of last year, and in my opinion revitalized the young adult fantasy genre because it gave a fresh new perspective in terms of platonic friendships, and just the way it just was amazing. And I'm super excited to finally read Redemptor and close off this duology. I thought this was going to be a trilogy, but it's only a duology, and I'm so scared of how it's going to end in these pages. I still need to get the Fairy Loot edition so I can like match my covers, but I'm really excited to read this because we see Tarasai at the end of Raybearer just in a different position as she was in the very beginning. I mean, that's basically every book, but in a very different position, and now it's like dealing with the consequences of that and dealing with the things that are going to be hinted to. Oh, I'm afraid. I'm so afraid for her, but also I'm really excited to see how it's going to end because I just think that like it's gonna hit me hard and it's gonna be great, and I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I might suffer, you know, whatever works. I mean, we're readers at the end of the day. Again, the cover design is stunning. It was done by Michaela Alcano and it's just so gorgeous. I'm obsessed. The next book that I'm then going to read is a romance, and I purely bought this romance for the cover, purely for like both of the people on the cover, because I saw it and I was like, my bisexuality is coming out right now. And so we have The Duke Who Didn't by Courtney Milan, and like, I'm just gonna show you this cover. Like, how could you not fall in love with those two? Like, and like the little nip slip from the guy. I've tried to find this cover model and I cannot find him anywhere. They're just hot. They're just hot. I'm just gonna say that, they're hot. And I'm excited to read it. It's another like historical romance. I haven't read a Courtney Milan romance before, but Syl from the Book Voyagers highly recommends them, and so I'm very excited for that. I feel like it's gonna be like really passionate and I'm really excited for it, I think. I definitely need a really good romance right now. Like I'm in the mood for like a good romance. So yeah, I'm very excited to read The Duke Who Didn't and get back on my romance reading train. The next one I'm going to read is literally, again, another one that I picked up in Waterstones because I read part of the synopsis and I was like, I need this. So we have Anxious People by Frederick Backman, and this one, I think a bank robber holds a bunch of people hostage, and together in this hostage situation, they all are anxious and they all like reveal things about one another that like there's more than what meets the eye. That's basically what I got from the synopsis, and that immediately like gripped me. I really feel like this is gonna like hit some places for me, like it's gonna be really good. But I posted some of the books I bought from Waterstones on Instagram, and there was very divided opinions about Anxious People. Some people really liked it and said that like it was great, it was gripping, and that I might enjoy it. But then some people were like, they literally had to trawl their way through, and they just didn't like the prose, they didn't like the characterization, and it was like very hard to get through in the end. And so I'm very much like, oh, there's two different camps of people that think I'm going to love or hate this book. This is going to be interesting. I'm gonna try and go into it with no expectations. I might try and see if any of my friends have reviewed it on Goodreads and see what happens there. But apart from that, like I'm literally just gonna go into it blind. But I'm excited to read it because the premise sounds really interesting. I just hope that they sell it well enough. And so the next book that I'm going to be reading is an essay collection, and that is Black Joy, edited by Charlie Brinkus Cuff and Timmy Sotaya. And this also includes voices from Farida Abike-iyimide, who is the author of Ace of Spades, and Diane Abbott, who is a Labour MP and utterly iconic, amongst 18 other voices as well. And this is basically like an essay collection about Black joy within the United Kingdom. It's the joy of being Black British, and like what else is there to love? Like, I love this cover illustration. It was done by Camila Sucre, and I just think that it's just great, and it encapsulates a lot of what I feel as a Black British person within the United Kingdom. The way it says at the top, love, community, identity, and everything between in a celebration of Black joy. It's great because I definitely feel like we need more essay collections like this, more anthologies like this, where we just have Black and British people being authentically themselves and sharing stories that show Black joy, because we don't really have enough of that in fiction, and we need more of it. And even if people say there's enough, even more, let's just have a lot. Let's just have too much. Too much is never enough. Let's keep going. I'm really excited about this anthology, both because I want to see what my friend has written in her own personal essay, but also just seeing all the other voices and seeing like how being Black and British is different for every single person, because our experiences are different, and feel prideful about being myself and my own identity. And I feel like this is going to be quite a nice boost for me when I'm feeling like down or depressed. I might just like read an essay from the book and then just be like, I feel much better about myself. So, you know, I think it would be pretty great. The next book that I'm then going to read is one that I picked up whilst I was in London, and this one was one that literally, like, I read like the little bit at the top and I was like, I need this, and that is Bestiary by K-Ming Chang, which is basically 3 generations of Taiwanese American women are haunted by the myths of their homeland in this spellbinding, visceral debut about one family's queer desires, violent impulses, and buried secrets. And literally from that, I was like, I need this book because it just looked amazing. Plus, the cover design is stunning. The illustration was done by Jinhua Zhang, and the design was done by Suzanne Dean. Again, this book just looks amazing. I'm really excited to see what Bestiary has involved and like what exactly is going to happen. I've seen some really positive reviews on Goodreads as well about this book, and so I'm really excited to like delve into it a bit more and just see like everything that it has to offer and everything that it is. I just think that like there's certain things with books that just like capture your essence right away and capture your attention. I think this is going to be one of those books. Like, I think the prose is just going to sell itself really well. Plus, it's quite a quick read as well, so I feel like I could just in an afternoon just go to a park, like sit amongst the autumn leaves as they're falling and just read this book, and I think that would just be really nice to do. That might be a nice day. But yeah, I just think it'd be really great. The next novel that I then want to read is a young adult sci-fi that talks about climate change, and that is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan Hun. This cover, let us discuss. It's so beautiful. I can't. It makes me feel something as well. I'm really excited to read this because, again, this discusses like climate change and like the way in which we've like mistreated our planet, but also has a kind of divide between like the rich people and the poor people. Yeah, and like a lot of people, again, have really liked this book. There have been a few people who haven't liked this book as much, but I'm really excited to kind of see where like my mind is placed in that and kind of just how I feel about it, because it feels amazing. It looks amazing, and I'm just excited to read it and see like the mind-blowing twists and turns that may result from this novel and the journey of these two sisters together. And it's going to be great. I think it's going to be awesome. The next book that I'm then going to be reading is one that I haven't seen talked about much, but one that I'm still really excited for, and that is The Upper World by Femi Fadugba. This is like a YA time thriller, to basically describe it like minimally. It just seems really awesome, and it's about a boy that can like see glimpses of like the near future and like things that result from that. It just sounds really interesting, and like the cover design, again, by Michael Rogers. Beautiful. amazing. I saw like they did this like really cool billboard design in London, and like when you walked past you could hear bits of the audiobook, like a motion sensor, and that is epic. That is so good. I was obsessed with that. But yeah, I just think it's gonna be really cool to read The Upper World and just see kind of a new voice within UK Black British publishing, and just see like how amazing this can be. Like I think it's gonna be super cool and super amazing. Plus I'm just a massive fan of it. I'm just a massive fan. Our penultimate book that I'm going to be reading for this video is Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan, and I literally picked this up for two reasons. One, because of Convenience Store Woman and Nisha Dolan's article about like her relationship with Convenience Store Woman, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't read anything by Nisha Dolan, I need to fix that immediately. But also two, Jack Edwards read this book, and I was like, I'm just gonna go read this too so we can discuss it. There's literally two ways to pressure me to read a book. Either get one of my friends to read it, or just talk about the book enough that I'm literally like, okay, I need to read this book. But I'm really excited. I have no idea what this book is about. Like, it feels like something that like I could resonate with a lot, because it feels like the character's roughly my age from the synopsis, because it's like a gap year-esque-ness. So it just feels like it could be something that I could relate to, but it's also a Sunday Times bestseller. Zadie Smith blurbed this, very funny and really mean. Okay, so I'm kind of prepared, but I feel like it's gonna be really cool and really awesome, and yeah, it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be super cool. And that is everything for the physical books. The last book that I want to talk about though is a sequel that I actually have access to now, but it's through an e-arc on NetGalley, and that is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. One of my most anticipated reads for this year, because I read JC and Jade Ward last year. My heart literally combust. Why did I decide to read those two books back to back? I don't know. Literally, they're just some of the best fantasy books I've ever read. And like, I'm really excited to see how this series is gonna end. Daniel Green has already read it and said that it just sets itself in stone as like one of the most amazing fantasy series of all time. And so I'm really, really excited for it. I'm also not emotionally prepared for it. A few of my friends are currently reading Jade Legacy and emotionally suffering. And so I don't really know what's in store for me, nor am I excited for it. But as long as my babies are okay, do I reread Jade City and Jade Ward before I read Jade Legacy? Do I really want to put myself through that again? Maybe. We'll see. I'll keep you all updated via Instagram or Twitter, whatever I choose to do. But that is literally the 12th book that I plan to read this autumn, because I also do have books from my course to be reading and also books for videos. So I am going to be doing a lot of reading for the next like 3-ish months. And you know, I don't know how I'm gonna like do all of it, but I can do it somehow. We'll figure it out. It's gonna be great. But yeah, that is everything for today's video. I hope you like this little TBR. And again, a massive thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. If you wanted to go check out the link in my description, use code FATE, you can get your first Book of the Month box for only $9.99. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, be sure to click that subscribe button so that you're notified whenever I upload next. I'll have all my social medias linked in the description down below for you, so that you can go follow me on there and just browse and peruse everything else that I'm on. And I'll also have my coffee linked in the description down below as well, just so you can give a well-appreciated tip in case you want to support this channel any further. And so yeah, I guess until the next time, bye besties.